Welcome to the latest video of the Pokémon UNITE tier list for April 2024. As the meta continues to evolve and strategies shift, trainers worldwide are constantly re-evaluating the strengths and weaknesses of their favorite Pokémon. In this comprehensive guide, we'll delve into the rankings of Pokémon based on their performance in battles, highlighting the cream of the crop as well as those struggling to make an impact. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or just starting your journey in the arena, this tier list will serve as your compass, guiding you towards the most formidable allies and cautioning against the less effective contenders. Prepare to embark on a thrilling adventure through the ranks as we unveil the best and worst Pokémon for battle in the ever-competitive world of Pokémon UNITE. A tier list in Pokémon UNITE serves as a ranking system to evaluate the relative strength and effectiveness of each Pokémon in the game. The tier list categorizes Pokémon into different tiers based on their performance in battles, versatility, and overall impact on team strategies. At the top of the tier list is the S tier, which comprises Pokémon deemed to be the most powerful and dominant choices in the current metagame. These Pokémon possess exceptional stats, abilities, and synergies that set them apart from others and make them highly sought after in competitive play. Following the S tier are the A, B, and sometimes C and D tiers, which progressively represent Pokémon of decreasing strength and viability. Pokémon in these tiers may still be strong and effective in battles but are generally considered to be less impactful than those in higher tiers. Tier lists are dynamic and subject to change as the game evolves, with shifts in the metagame, balance updates, and player strategies influencing the rankings of Pokémon over time. Overall, tier lists serve as valuable resources for players seeking guidance on which Pokémon to prioritize in their gameplay endeavors, helping them make informed decisions to enhance their chances of success in Pokémon UNITE battles. OP tier Pokémons refers to the highest tier of strength and effectiveness in a tier list, where Pokémon are considered overpowered, OP. These Pokémon are exceptionally strong and often dominate battles due to their outstanding stats, abilities, and overall performance. They can significantly impact the outcome of matches and are typically highly sought after by players looking to gain a competitive edge. MIRAIDON strong as thunder, swift as lightning. MIRAIDON is a powerful attacker that can be flexible in its gameplay depending on the moveset it learns. It can take the typical attacker role if it learns Charge Beam, or lean more towards a speedster role if it learns Electro Drift. Either way, it excels as a primary damage dealer for the team. Although the Pokémon requires a high skill ceiling to play effectively, its impact in games makes it all worth it. Lane, Jungle. Recommended build and emblem is here. ZACIAN, the legendary sword. ZACIAN is a combination strength, durability, and speed. It can boost its own moves thanks to its ability, Intrepid Sword, increasing their damage and triggering additional effects. It's also quite agile for an all-rounder thanks to its arsenal of dash moves. However, its biggest drawback is the fact that it can only equip two held items since one slot is already reserved for its unique item, Rusted Sword. What's worse is that the item does not give stat bonuses nor have any passive effects, making it practically useless. This limits possible builds for the Pokémon, which could make it even stronger. Recommended build and emblems. Lane, any lane. Next comes SS tier list Pokémons. The SS tier is reserved for the most dominant and versatile Pokémon. These Pokémon redefine the meta, guiding their teams to victory with their unmatched strength and adaptability. SS tier list first Pokémon is Blastoise. Blastoise knows a spin-to-win Pokémon. Blastoise offers damage and crowd control while tanking damage. Compared to other defenders, Blastoise has the advantage of being a ranged Pokémon. It can deal massive damage using the Rapid Spin and Water Spout combo, or displace enemies with Surf and Hydro Pump. But it's most notable for throwing enemies in a huge area into the air using Hydro Typhoon, making it great at team fights. However, its drawback is its slow scaling, reaching its power spike only starting at level 9. Recommended build and emblems. Lane, bottom lane. SS tier list second Pokémon is BLISSEY. BLISSEY is known as the perfect support. BLISSEY offers reliable healing, shielding, buffing and debuffing while boasting the highest HP in the roster. It has replaced ELDEGOSS as the best and most reliable healer in the game. It's a great counter against burst damage Pokémon, making it a great pick in the current meta. However, its effectiveness heavily relies on always being at the side of another Pokémon. It can't function well alone. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle / Bottom. SS tier list third Pokémon is BUZZWOLE. BUZZWOLE is one of the best all-rounders with disabling moves that can displace and isolate opponents. Moves like Superpower and Smackdown allows it to have an edge during brawls, together with its innate HP recovery attacks and Beast Boost bonuses. Although its move range and aiming could better, you will find that BUZZWOLE can pin down and deal high amounts of damage with ease if you manage to do your combos correctly. Yield and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. SS tier list fourth Pokémon is DODRIO. DODRIO is known as a true speedster. DODRIO fits the speedster mold perfectly due to its fast-paced, roaming gameplay. You will find its sprint mechanic to be a powerful tool in realizing the Pokémon's strengths. While its kit doesn't stray from the typical high mobility and burst damage speedster trait, it's best played as a solo scorer that puts pressure on enemies and keep them at their toes to defend their goals. However, it is fragile and requires high skill, gatekeeping the players that can use it effectively. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle / Bottom. SS tier list fifth Pokémon is INTELEON. INTELEON is known as Slick Shooter. INTELEON is a slick attacker. It uses camouflage and critical hits to burst down enemies. It can either get close to targets and pick them off one by one or burst opponents down in a single shot from afar. Although it has low durability and takes time to get strong, its damage output in the late game becomes notable. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Any Lane. SS tier list sixth Pokémon is LEAFEON. LEAFEON is known as Power of the Sun. LEAFEON is a quintessential speedster. It can traverse the map quickly thanks to its pair of dash moves and the movement speed it gets from chlorophyll, making it a great jungler Pokémon. Its most notable asset is its high burst damage potential, which is a trademark trait for assassins. On top of those two, since it's an evolution, it also has great scaling. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Any Lane. SS tier list seventh Pokémon is MEWTWO X. MEWTWO X is known as Pinnacle of Physical Strength. MEWTWO X is the pinnacle of physical strength. It has a great balance of damage, durability, and mobility via its stats and moves. Its best feature is its ability to increase its attack, defense, and SP def stats simply by attacking opponents, which also allows it to Mega Evolve and reach its full strength. It doesn't have any glaring weaknesses other than its reliance on increasing its stats. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Any Lane. SS tier list 7th Pokémon is MEWTWO Y. MEWTWO Y is known as Pinnacle of Psychic Power. MEWTWO Y is a powerful ranged attacker with a well-balanced kit. It can increase its damage and attack speed simply by attacking opponents, and can become even stronger when it Mega Evolves. Its moves is a great mix of damage, mobility, and utility, giving it incredible flexibility in battle. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top or bottom lane. SS tier list 8th Pokémon is MIMIKYU. MIMIKYU is known as Ghostly Grazer. MIMIKYU is an odd and deceptive all-rounder. Although it has a tiny stature and strange appearance, which is atypical for an all-rounder, the Pokémon is surprisingly lethal. Its strength comes from the various mechanics its moves and ability have, giving it some degree of advantage over other Pokémon. It's also well-balanced and doesn't have any obvious weaknesses that would be considered as a deal-breaker. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top lane. SS tier list 9th Pokémon is SLOWBRO. SLOWBRO is known as Strong Single Target Disabler. SLOWBRO's ability to remove opponents from the fight with telekinesis and high durability make it a great defender to have during battle. Its tackiness, coupled with crowd control moves, allows it to disrupt enemy synergies while being able to shrug off damage using amnesia. In terms of offense, however, SLOWBRO lacks a proper way to fight back and deal damage. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top / bottom lane. SS tier list 10th Pokémon is Umbreon. Umbreon is known as Strong Single Target Disabler. Umbreon is a multifunctional defender. It can weaken, stun, and trap opponents and even use their stats against them. It can also aid its allies to keep them alive. Its most notable ability is stealing shields from opponents and using them for itself. It does all these while still being able to tank damage and heal itself. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle Lane. SS Tier List 11th Pokemon is ZORUARK. ZORUARK is known as strong single-target disabler. When it comes to deadly and satisfying combos, ZORUARK is one of the best speedsters for taking down opponents in quick succession. Its moveset is highly synergistic with one another and offers a lot of mobility. Moreover, its passive ability, Illusion, opens up new strategies on how you can approach fights. Although you will find yourself climbing a steep hill to master the Pokemon, getting used to its controls and playstyle will reward you with a strong Pokemon that can hold its own. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle Lane. Next comes S-tier list Pokemons. The S-tier represents the pinnacle of strength and effectiveness, encompassing Pokemon that are revered for their exceptional performance in battles. These Pokemon, with their exceptional attributes and strategic prowess, form the backbone of many winning strategies, commanding respect and admiration in the competitive realm of Pokémon UNITE. S-tier list first Pokemon is Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales is known as good mix of support and damage. Alolan Ninetales is a versatile Pokemon that has a good mix of support and damage. Its Aurora Veil allows it to deal decent damage via attacks and provide some support for its allies at the same time, having also a bit of mobility as a bonus. Its other moves in Unite move can deal high burst damage while freezing enemies in place, especially when used together in quick succession. However, its power tends to stagnate in the late game, making it hard for Alolan to keep up and deal its intended damage. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Any Lane. S-tier list second Pokemon is Blaziken. Blaziken is known as Blazing Brawler. Blaziken is a great example of a brawler. Its core gameplay revolves around performing a variety of combos by switching between its movesets using its Unite move. It can also sustain itself and deal additional damage thanks to its ability, Blaze. However, its combo-heavy gameplay makes the Pokemon difficult to master and play to its full potential, and it does make the Pokemon prone to disables whenever it engages. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S-tier list third Pokemon is Chandelure. Chandelure is known as Kindled Spirit. Chandelure is a great example of a glass cannon Pokemon. It excels in dealing burst and damage over time, It can pierce through the enemy's SP def thanks to its ability, Infiltration. It can also disable enemy moves using Imprison, which is a new type of disable in the game. However, its greatest setback is its extremely low durability and mobility, making it an enticing Pokemon to target down. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S-tier list fourth Pokemon is Clefable. Clefable is known as the Power of the Moon. Clefable is a powerful support Pokemon that help teams claim victory with its healing and hindering prowess. Moves like Moonlight and Draining Kiss offers enough variation for you to realize Clefable's gameplay. Moreover, its hindering moves offer enough disruption for although its damage output and move cooldowns could be better, players who can adjust their playstyle to fit the support archetype will find great value in this Pokemon. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S-tier list fifth Pokemon is Comfey. Comfey is known as Pocket Supporter. Comfey offers a good mix of offensive and defensive assistance and has a unique way of supporting its allies. It attaches itself to an ally and becomes immune to damage. While attached, it can use its moves to heal and shield its ally or disable and damage its opponents. However, due to its unique gameplay, the Pokemon relies too heavily on how good its ally is, which could undermine its potential. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S-tier list sixth Pokemon is CRUSTLE. CRUSTLE is known as a walking fortress. CRUSTLE is a versatile defender that can trade its defense for more attack power. Its ability to disrupt lanes with Rock Tomb or plow through the enemy with Shell Smash allows it to adapt to situations that demands a change in playstyle. Unfortunately, its flexibility means that it is not as effective as Damage Dealer or a tank. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle Lane. S tier list 7th Pokemon is Dragapult. Dragapult is known as Creeping Dragon. Dragapult is a ranged damage dealer that relies on fast attack speed to dish out damage quickly and take out its targets. It can also deal area damage with its boosted attack, which is a unique attack mechanic. It has stealth capabilities and can increase its damage output with each knockout thanks to Phantom Force. Its best asset is its unique charge-based Unite move, allowing for some new and interesting interactions with items like Energy Amplifier. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Bottom Lane. S tier list 8th Pokemon is ELDEGOSS. ELDEGOSS is known as Shields and heals everywhere. Thanks to its ranged attacks, ELDEGOSS moveset provides both support and offense that can significantly impact a team fight if left uncontested. Moves like Pollen Puff and Leaf Tornado increase the Pokemon's usability. However, you may find the Pokemon's hindrance moves lackluster, especially when better alternatives are present. Overall, ELDEGOSS gameplay is straightforward and effective enough that it can still be a great supporter for any team to have. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Bottom Lane. S tier list 9th Pokemon is ESPEON. ESPEON is known as Shields and heals everywhere. ESPEON's kit provides anyone who uses it with a reliable mix of burst damage and tenacity. Thanks to its unique passive magic bounce, ESPEON can negate a hit that will otherwise cause hindrances. It is also fairly easy and straightforward to use, so anyone can pick it up. However, its lack of mobility moves and limited playstyle hinders it from being an effective attacker. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top Lane. S tier list 10th Pokemon is Gardevoir. Gardevoir is known as Burst Damage Supreme. Gardevoir can deal high burst damage and provide disables with from a long range. It is arguably the best crowd control Unite move in the game, making it extremely deadly in team fights. Moreover, its ability to refresh its moves instantly when they hit eliminates the need to wait for cooldowns, allowing it to provide constant area damage. Its only drawback is its fragility and lack of mobility, something that more mobile Pokemon can exploit. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S tier list 11th Pokemon is GLACEON. GLACEON is known as Frostbite. GLACEON is a powerful attacker capable of gunning down its targets with a barrage of ice missiles. Its kit is highly synergistic as you deal massive amounts of damage when you take advantage of its ice crystal mechanic. Moreover, its ability to block and negate crowd control moves with Snow Cloak gives the Pokemon high survivability for an attacker. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S tier list 12th Pokemon is HOOPA. HOOPA is known as Frostbite. HOOPA boasts a great kit that can greatly alter the playing field for its teammates. Its utility is top-notch and opens up more strategic plays that can push the meta forward. HOOPA also boosts your team's offensive capabilities a great deal, especially with taking objectives and controlling both lanes at the same time through the use of its warping mechanic. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Top/Bottom Lane. S tier list 13th Pokemon is METAGROSS. METAGROSS is known as Sentient Steel. METAGROSS is a solid frontline all-rounder. It can tank and dish out a lot of damage thanks to its shield-generating moves. It's also incredibly mobile, giving it the option to push the offense or retreat safely. Its one downside, however, is that its effectiveness as a frontliner heavily relies on hitting opponents with its moves, since it doesn't generate any shields if they hit no targets. Nevertheless, METAGROSS' versatility makes it a great pick in any team composition and can even play as an all-rounder/defender hybrid. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle Lane. S tier list 14th Pokemon is MEOWSCRADA. MEOWSCRADA is known as Ferocious Feline. MEOWSCRADA is a textbook assassin. It relies on burst damage to take out its targets quickly, giving its team a numbers advantage during fights. It does have a special combination of mechanics that make it stand out among other assassins. While frail in stature, its damage potential certainly makes up for it. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Any Lane. S tier list 15th Pokemon is Mew. Mew is known as Mystical Dominance. Mew offers a unique way to play with its move reset mechanic. Here, you can essentially change the Pokémon's playstyle on the fly and adapt to any situation. Aside from being a great damage dealer, with its long-ranged Solar Beam and easy-to-aim Electro Ball, you can turn Mew into a decent support Pokémon with its coaching and surf moves. Though its distinct mechanic requires a lot of button inputs and mastery to become effective, being able to utilize its strengths will often translate into a Pokémon that can run the game by itself. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top/bottom lane. S-tier list 16th Pokémon is SILVEON. SILVEON is known as a mobile turret. SILVEON has a perfect mix of offensive and defensive moves that incentivize aggressive plays. It can enhance its moves with Calm Mind and continuously deal damage to an enemy. Additionally, SILVEON can sustain itself by recovering HP from multiple draining kiss hits. However, its damaging moves need to be properly set up to reach its full potential. This drawback pulls it back from being a hard-hitting attacker. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top/bottom lane. S-tier list 17th Pokémon is TREVANENT. TREVANENT is known as a mobile turret. TREVANENT is a highly durable Pokémon that provides decent crowd control. Its ability to recover HP and deal damage at the same time makes it a great frontliner, providing cover to its squishy allies. However, since its moves also deal damage to itself, it can easily be exploited by the enemy. Recommended build and emblems. Lane Jungle Lane. S-tier list 18th Pokémon is URSHIFU. URSHIFU is known as Master of Forms. URSHIFU excels in big fights due to the damage it can deal with its combos regardless of which style it uses. Single strike style URSHIFU offers massive area damage in a single move thanks to Wicked Blow but does require a decent setup to execute properly. On the other hand, rapid strike style URSHIFU provides less damage but is faster to execute since URSHIFU's boosted attacks reduce its move cooldowns, allowing for continuous combos. Whichever style you prefer, URSHIFU is definitely a solid all-rounder pick for any team. However, its unique two-style gameplay is also what holds it back. Since URSHIFU's moveset is fixed to whether it learns Wicked Blow or Surging Strikes, it leaves you no room for experimentation, which limits the Pokémon's potential. Recommended build and emblems. Lane top lane. Last S-tier list 19th Pokémon is Venusaur. Venusaur is known as Master of Forms. Venusaur is still terrorizing the stadium with the HP draining capability of Giga Drain and its cooldown reduction synergy with Petal Dance. What's more, it can be an effective sniper with the use of Solar Beam. Whether you are facing enemies head-on or from long range, Venusaur is a great attacker for any team to have. Recommended build and emblems. Lane any lane. A tier list Pokémon. The A-tier houses Pokémon that boast formidable strengths and solid versatility, although they may not reach the same level of dominance as those in the S-tier. While not as dominant as their S-tier counterparts, Pokémon in the A-tier remain formidable contenders that contribute significantly to their team's success in Pokémon UNITE battles. A tier list first Pokémon is Absol. Absol IA known as the Executioner. Absol is one of the best physical damage dealers in the game. With the right build and good aim, Absol can decimate its opponents within seconds, thanks to its high critical hit rate. Additionally, its wide variety of dash moves like Midnight Slash makes it an elusive Pokémon to deal with. Although its early to mid-game capabilities are impressive, it struggles to be as effective during the late game when opponents are strong enough to fight back against Absol. Nonetheless, Absol is still a dependable single-target assassin for any team to have. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. A tier list second Pokémon is Aegislash. Aegislash is known as a technical sword to wield. Aegislash is a great duelist Pokémon that can adapt to any combat encounter. It has the ability to alter its boosted attacks to deal massive damage or sustain itself with heals, which makes it viable for any lane it goes to. However, it could be a hard Pokémon to use because it relies on the Forms mechanic to generate an advantage. That said, if you manage to master Aegislash's sword and shield playstyle, it is a force to be reckoned with. Recommended build and emblems are Lane top/bottom lane. A tier list 3rd Pokémon is Cinderace. Cinderace is known as the ideal ranged damage dealer. Cinderace is the ideal late-game carry Pokémon thanks to its rapid attack speed and critical hits. It can also take out objectives like Dreadnought or Zapdos quickly by itself. However, it's fragile and requires a lot of time before it can start carrying its team, which is something that the enemy can take advantage. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle / Bottom Lane. A tier list 4th Pokémon is Decidueye. Decidueye is known as astonishingly dangerous. Decidueye is an offensive powerhouse that can easily carry the game when left uncontested. It is capable of taking objectives head-on with its flurry of boosted attacks that can constantly crit. Moreover, it can pick off its targets from afar with a hard-hitting Spirit Shackle. Unfortunately, Decidueye lacks any proper mobility moves that can help it get out of dangerous situations cornered, especially against Pokémon that can teleport, dash, or even jump away from danger. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top / Jungle Lane. A tier list Delphox is a versatile attacker that can do tons of damage to its arsenal of missiles. A tier list 6th Pokémon is Gengar. Gengar is known as your worst nightmare. Gengar's ability to silently strike unsuspecting enemies makes it a great assassin that can sustain itself with heals as it moves hit. It relies on applying debuffs then unleashing relentless damage upon its target in mere seconds with its Sludge Bomb to Hex combo. However, its effectiveness falls drastically during the late game where team fights are abundant. Gengar will have a hard time maneuvering around the chaos as it looks for targets to pick off. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top / Bottom Lane. A tier list 7th Pokémon is Goodra. Goodra is known as the Gooey Dragon. Goodra is a frontliner that excels in prolonged fights. It can either make itself more durable while weakening its opponents using Muddy Water or deal burst damage while healing itself with Dragon Pulse. Moreover, it can constantly slow its opponents whenever its attack, uses Acid Spray or Power Whip, and perform a boosted attack. However, its downside is its slow scaling. It needs to reach level 8 first to unlock its second primary move, which restricts its potential in the early game. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. A tier list 8th Pokémon is Greninja. Greninja is known as an elusive assassin. Greninja is an efficient attacker that has a speedster-like playstyle with its arsenal of highly mobile dash moves and insane burst potential. It is elusive, versatile, and hits hard, making it an effective assassin. However, its fragility requires a lot of effort in the early game to reach its potential. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top / Bottom Lane. A tier list 9th Pokémon is Gyarados. Gyarados is known as Seething Serpent. Gyarados has great potential but comes with a huge caveat. Unlike other Pokémon, Gyarados doesn't evolve just by leveling up and instead needs to fill up its effort gauge to do so. And if it can't evolve, it can't learn its primary moveset, and its stats remain at a minimum. This huge obstacle makes Gyarados' performance quite unpredictable since its gameplay solely relies on how fast it can fill up its effort gauge. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top / Bottom Lane. A tier list 10th Pokémon is Lapras. Lapras is known as an eerie threat. Lapras is a great mix of damage and durability. It can deal tons of damage via Water Pulse or Perish Song while prolonging its life during fights by healing itself with its boosted attacks and shielding itself using Bubble Beam. Its downside is its low mobility. This affects its gameplay since it needs to get close to enemies first to deal damage. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top Lane. A tier list 11th Pokémon is Lucario. Lucario is known as speedy, tanky, and powerful. Lucario is a perfect balance of speed, durability, and power. It performs far better in the early game compared to most Pokémon thanks to its initial moveset's effectiveness and usefulness, and it scales nicely as the game progresses into the late game. It's also great at one-on-one duels as well as big team fights. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top/Bottom Lane. A tier list 12th Pokémon is Mamoswine. Mamoswine is known as crowd control for days. Mamoswine is one of the best disabler Pokémon in the game. With so many crowd control moves, it can stomp its way through defenses and open up opportunities for its team to push. Additionally, its sturdy nature allows it to initiate and stay in fights much longer. However, while it can dish out hindrances, you will have to be able to land them to get the most out of it. This means being able to time high horsepower attacks at the right time, as missing with your moves can lead to bad plays. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top/Bottom Lane. A tier list 13th Pokémon is Pikachu. Pikachu is known as high control, high damage. Pikachu is a powerhouse in all stages of the game due to its high damage output and stun capabilities. Its Unite move's fast charge rate means that Pikachu can consistently get a surge in power whenever it needs to. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top/Bottom Lane. A tier list 14th Pokémon is Sableye. Sableye is known as Inflict Chaos. Sableye brings a unique twist to the supporter formula. It can turn invisible thanks to its passive ability, Prankster, which opens up a lot of new ways to support your team and strategies that involve sneaking. Additionally, Sableye is the first supporter Pokémon to have an attack stat, which allows you to take advantage of aggressive held items that can turn the Pokémon into a hard-hitting damage dealer. Although its moveset does not offer the typical heals and shields a normal supporter has, you will find their utility to be useful for giving vision, and on top of the stuns and slows the Pokémon can inflict. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. A tier list 15th Pokémon is Scizor. Scizor is known as Slice and Punch. Although Scizor is an all-rounder, it can take the role of an attacker or speedster if it stays as Scyther, offering two distinct gameplays in one Pokémon. However, playing Scizor or Scyther requires dedication to their respective gameplay and build, since there is no room for compromise if they are to be played effectively. In other words, you can't play Scyther effectively using Scizor's items and gameplay, and vice versa. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. A tier list 16th Pokémon is Snorlax. Snorlax is known as the Colossal Bear. Snorlax is an extremely durable Pokémon thanks to its high defenses and massive HP. It's effective from beginning to end since it does not need to evolve. It can act as a traditional tank, soaking damage for its team, and providing crowd control using Heavy Slam, and Block or Yawn. It can also become an unorthodox damage dealer using Flail. Unfortunately, it lacks anything unique to offer that other defenders have and can do better. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle/Bottom Lane. A tier list 17th Pokémon is Tyranitar. Tyranitar is known as the Earth Shaker. With its high defenses and consistent AoE damage synergy with Sandstream, Tyranitar is the ideal frontline Pokémon that can help teams push lanes and dominate team fights. It is a dependable Pokémon that can excel at brawls thanks to moves like Ancient Power or Sand Tomb, which can increase its survivability while also pressuring the enemy. However, it received a massive nerf to its damage potential since it now can't deal critical hits during Tyrannical Rampage, which was one of the move's notable effects. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Bottom Lane. A tier list 18th Pokémon is Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is known as Disables, Damage, and Tankiness. Wigglytuff is a great combination of durability, utility, and support thanks to its moves. It has the best defensive teamfight ability in the game, Starlight Recital. It can also deal decent damage thanks to Rollout and Double Slap. Its drawback, however, is its long cooldown Unite move, limiting its usage to key moments throughout the game. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. A tier list 18th Pokémon is Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is known as Disables, Damage, and Tankiness. Wigglytuff is a great combination of durability, utility, and support thanks to its moves. It has the best defensive teamfight ability in the game, Starlight Recital. It can also deal decent damage thanks to rollout and double slap. Its drawback, however, is its long cooldown Unite move, limiting its usage to key moments throughout the game. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. B-tier list Pokémon. The B-tier encompasses Pokémon that possess notable strengths but may lack the same level of versatility or impact as those in higher tiers. Despite this, B-tier Pokémon still offer valuable contributions to their teams and can excel when utilized effectively. While not as dominant as those in higher tiers, B-tier Pokémon can still carve out a niche for themselves in team compositions and contribute meaningfully to their team's success in Pokémon Unite battles. B-tier list first Pokémon is Azumarill. Azumarill is known as Critical Machine. Azumarill's one-on-one prowess is unmatched thanks to its ability to deal constant critical strikes with huge power. This enables Azumarill to scale fast in the early game, especially when it starts in the jungle. However, its unique mechanic that makes it powerful also hinders Azumarill from dealing maximum damage in the late game where team fights are a constant event. This contradiction prevents it from taking top spots in our tier list. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Bottom Lane. B-tier list second Pokémon is Charizard. Charizard is known as Fire Hazard. Charizard is a powerful bruiser thanks to its arsenal of moves that allow it to shift its playstyle to counter the enemy team. It has a unique mechanic where you can attack or use moves while moving, allowing you to reposition Charizard when engaging in a brawl. What holds it back is the weak early game that necessitates it to reach higher levels before it can pop off. Moreover, it is susceptible to being disabled outside of its Unite move. Still, Charizard can dominate games if you manage to hit the right beats and get powerful as the game goes on. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Top/Bottom Lane. B-tier list third Pokémon is Cramorant. Cramorant is known as Gatling Beatdown. Cramorant is a decent attacker that can deal high amounts of damage if left uncontested. Its premier move, Dive, gives the Pokémon a distinct playstyle that can carry games if used correctly. Additionally, its Unite move, Gatling Gulp Missile, is still powerful when deployed in the right area. However, on top of being a fragile Pokémon, Cramorant's damage is not up to par and has a high skill ceiling compared to other attackers, reducing its viability as a pick. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle/Bottom Lane. B-tier list fourth Pokémon is Dragonite. Dragonite is known as Eternal Outrage. Dragonite is currently the only ranged all-rounder in the game, giving it some advantage. It can either offer high burst damage via Hyper Beam, or become a traditional melee all-rounder with Outrage. It's best known for its semi-global presence thanks to its Unite move, Draco Impact, allowing it to traverse the map quickly to help in teamfights or score goals. Unfortunately, it's held back by its scaling since it can only have access to its main damage move at level 8. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. B-tier list fifth Pokémon is Greedent. Greedent is known as the trickiest of defenders. Greedent is a specialist at creating chaos on the map by dragging the enemy team's attention to itself in the hopes of bringing it down. It is an extremely slippery and tough Pokémon to fight against thanks to Covet and its ability to constantly recover HP via its berries. It can also deal decent burst damage using Belch, or slow targets with Bullet Seed, increasing their efficiency when Berry Belly Flop is used. However, its complex mechanics demands special skill and understanding from players, which may not be suitable for everybody. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. B-tier list sixth Pokémon is Machamp. Machamp is known as the Submission. Machamp's buffs and immunities allow it to rampage through the battlefield without the fear of getting disabled. Its high offense moves make it a scary Pokémon to go against, especially in a 1v1 duel. However, it requires a near-perfect early game to dominate the game, otherwise, it'll just be a meaty target. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Bottom Lane. B-tier list 7th Pokémon is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is known as Knows All the Tricks. Mr. Mime was a top pick during the early days of Pokémon Unite. But as new Pokémon and updates arrive, Mr. Mime went on a decline from there and was pushed aside. However, the rework to Mr. Mime revitalized the Pokémon while staying true to its original gameplay and style. The improvements to its moves open new ways to use them and new strategies for the Pokémon as a whole, skyrocketing Mr. Mime to the top of the tier list and taking its well-deserved place in the meta. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. B tier list 8th Pokémon is Talonflame. Talonflame is known as Long Distance Burst or Extreme Elusiveness. Talonflame is highly mobile Pokémon that can deal high burst damage. It specializes at diving targets head-on from a long range, then knocking it down quickly before they can react. It's notorious for sniping boss Pokémon like Zapdos out of nowhere and stealing it from the enemy. It can also use its mobility moves to traverse the map to score goals when the enemies are not looking. But its gameplay is also its weakness since it's fragile and dives recklessly into fights, making it an easy target to knock out, especially when it misses its moves. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. Last B tier list 9th Pokémon is Tsareena. Tsareena is known as All Hail the Queen. Tsareena's high sustain and survivability via Throw Kick and Stomp makes it incredibly hard to fight against. It also deals significant area damage repeatedly thanks to the effects of Queenly Majesty, which can be easily spammed for consistent pressure. Moreover, its Queen Ascendant is one of the best single-target disables in the game, locking targets down while dealing heavy damage. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. The C tier is home to Pokémon that may face challenges in competing with higher-tier options but still possess unique strengths and utility. These Pokémon, while not as versatile or impactful as those in higher tiers, can still find niche roles within team compositions. While they may not be as flashy or impactful as higher-tier picks, C-tier Pokémon can still find ways to contribute meaningfully to their team's success in Pokémon UNITE battles with the right strategy and teamwork. C-tier list first Pokémon is Duraludon. Duraludon is known as Massive Offense. Duraludon offers high burst damage as well as decent utility. Its standard attacks also hit hard, allowing it to become a traditional attack damage carry for its team, especially when given a level advantage. Its passive, Heavy Metal, prevents it from being thrown or shoved once, which is something that other attackers don't have. However, like most attackers, it's extremely fragile and lacks mobility, making it an easy target for Pokémon that can dive it directly. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. C-tier list second Pokémon is Garchomp. Garchomp is known as Attack Heavyweight. Garchomp is a great offensive all-rounder that can dish out insane damage when it gets to keep attacking. Moves like Dragon Claw and Stomp are great initiating moves that can pressure you targets. Its ability to power its way through brawls and objectives with its hard-hitting boosted attacks. While it is capable of dealing insane amounts of damage, its low defenses and lack of proper ways to fight back during the early game make it susceptible to getting bullied, which can stifle its growth towards higher levels. Recommended build and emblems are Lane Jungle Lane. As we conclude our exploration of the Pokémon UNITE tier list for April 2024, it becomes evident that the competitive landscape continues to evolve, shaped by shifting strategies and dynamic metagame trends. From the elite ranks of the SS tier to the rising stars in the lower tiers, each Pokémon brings its unique strengths and weaknesses to the battlefield, challenging trainers to adapt and innovate in their pursuit of victory. Whether you align with the dominating forces of Greninja and Cinderace, the stalwart defenses of Snorlax, or the versatile prowess of Garchomp, one thing remains certain: the journey towards mastery in Pokémon UNITE is an ever-ongoing quest, where each battle serves as a stepping stone towards greater heights of achievement. As trainers continue to refine their skills and uncover new synergies, the tier list serves as a valuable roadmap, guiding them through the intricate strategies and nuanced matchups that define the competitive landscape. So, as you embark on your next adventure in the arena, may your chosen Pokémon stand as a testament to your skill and determination, propelling you towards victory in the ever-competitive world of Pokémon UNITE. With that, we bid farewell to the April 2024 edition of the Pokémon UNITE tier list. As trainers continue to hone their skills and forge new alliances, the meta will undoubtedly undergo further evolution, presenting fresh challenges and opportunities for aspiring champions. Whether you find yourself atop the leaderboard or embarking on a journey of improvement, remember that every battle serves as a chance to learn and grow. Until next time, may your strategies be cunning, your teamwork unwavering, and your victories legendary. Happy battling, trainers!